Hey, folks, welcome to another Manana No Mas podcast interview. As I say in most episodes, we don't schedule these. We just wait until somebody awesome shows up. And today we've got Jolynn Ledgerwood with us. Jolynn came to me as a referral from this great lady named Molly. I'll probably put her link in the show notes. But once I read like the introduction, I said, oh my God, she's got to be on the show. She's just perfect alignment for me, which usually means it's a perfect alignment for you. No further ado, Jolynn, go ahead, tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself, your journey.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Jolynn Ledgerwood, I grew up in the hospitality industry, went to nursing school, found out I have a learning disability, used that to kind of change the trajectory of my life. So I'm not a nurse. I'm an L&D specialist. I focus on helping teams understand that people learn different ways. I help teams grow together in sync with each other. And I really enjoy coaching and making people individually better at what they do, understand themselves so that they can learn easier in different scenarios, and just overall awareness of L&D and how we're all different. And we sometimes need different methodologies or different viewpoints to learn the same information.
Now, you know that Jolynn is a professional in the space because she's using the term L&D. A lot of people might say course creator, e-learning, distance learning. There's a million different ways to say it, but the pros in the field always say L&D because I think it sounds cool.
Yeah, I guess I'll take it that I'm a professional. I've been doing it for so long. It feels like it's the only thing I know how to do. So, yeah, it's fun too. I enjoy, for a while, I worked in corporate America and I felt like I was going up this invisible ladder of being in the next higher up. And I don't want to do that. I just enjoy being in with the teams, teaching them, learning from them, and, developing processes as we go along and just making ourselves better as we're making the company better at the same time. And after the last layoff, because sadly, L&D is always one of the first to go.
Always the first to go.
It is. They're like, we don't need you guys. Well, you kind of do. I just decided to open my own business, and it's called Elevate Your Talent. We're based in Texas. We use different methodologies to coach teams and organizations to better success.
The thing that I find so amazing about the L&D space, and I think you and I could probably have a 4-hour conversation,
Agreed.
but we won't. We'll be nice to the listeners. Like you said, it's the least valued, but almost like the most productive in terms of like positive internal company culture, like reducing employee turnover, increasing customer satisfaction, reducing the onboarding experience as far as an expense goes. And so like I can't help but think about this. COVID broke out, everybody lost their minds. And like within 2 days of announcing COVID, all these giant companies had TV commercials that said, don't worry about us. We're taking everything online. And then they told everybody to work remote. And then they started trying to hire people. And the first step to getting hired was hop on a plane and go to the corporate office for 2 weeks for onboarding. And I was like, that's so, again, the whole experience is broken right there because there's no need to hop on a plane and go somewhere for 2 weeks. If you hired someone remote, have an onboarding process, fill out the forms online, go to a couple of Zoom meetings, scratch each other's backs and give each other some space. But that's not how things were executed. And I feel like from an L&D standpoint, I feel like as an industry, we really lost an opportunity to catapult ourselves forward in the corporate space.
Yeah, and you make a good point because back in our day, and I'm older too, in-person training was the only option for us. So when COVID happened, it kind of slammed a lot of us into, okay, well, how do we make it work? And how can we be flexible? How can we have an online class or a Zoom meeting where everybody learn, how can we make those things happen? And we did, and they were successful. Yes. I think there's a lot of areas where we're still growing, whether that's in LMS or different methodologies in which you can engage users remotely. I think that's important because just sitting in front of a computer screen taking a course, my brain doesn't work that way. I need interaction. I need to be challenged. I need some of those things. And so for the people that did work for, it was great. It's the people that, if their brains don't work that way, they need something a little bit different. And it's our responsibility to find what works for the people that we're working with, and offer those opportunities for them to learn.
Yeah. I can't help but, roll the time machine back to 2013. Ducati North America had hired me to write a course for them, and I taught that course as a contractor for years. And then they said, "Oh, our contract trainer, so our in-person training for technicians, he's going to retire, and we need someone to do that." And I wasn't even their first choice. Like, they thought I ran some successful agency and I couldn't be lured away. Little did they know that I had a disease called motorcycling. And so I said, "Well, how come you haven't offered me the job yet?" They said, "We didn't think you'd take it." I said, "Make an offer, see what I'll refuse." It was a really weird, communication. But they said, "Well, how about this?" And I said, "That sounds great. I'll fly out there and we'll make it happen." And what I decided to do was, they had this 2-week in-person practicum hands-on course that this old retired guy used to give to people. And then he would certify people at the end of that. Um, and I thought, wow, what could we do that would be different? Let's take all of the theory. Let's take all of the theory, all the facts, all the figures, all the niggling details that would normally be sitting in your butt in a classroom, and let's put that online. And then let's try and put all that 2 weeks worth of hands-on stuff into a 4.5-day practicum where they learn the theory. I pre-test them on the first day for knowledge. So if you pass the test, you get to stay for the rest of the class. That was weird, right? Because they didn't understand that. You mean I got to take a test to stay? Yeah, you got to take a test to stay. Got to
Mhm.
prove that you did the pre-work.
Free work. Yeah.
So they did the pre-work, they passed the test, and then they could stay for the practicum. And that's where we got to put tools in hands and get to, use fidget spinners and build motors and do cool things. And we ended up, first off, let me say, first, we pissed off a lot of people because we sent a lot of people home on day one. Once people realized that Kurt was serious and you were going to get sent home if you didn't pass the test, all of our scores went through the roof. Everybody did everything, because once you put accountability in, you're in.
Yep.
But the part where I wanted to get to, and I had to tell the story to get there, is our first year with me on staff, we reduced the training budget by 50%, and we doubled the number of certified technicians that year. And that was a year when the industry was hungry for technicians. We were short on work. I mean, short on workers.
Yeah.
With the harvest is much, but the hands are few, right?
Yeah.
I think the L&D space has the ability to go back into the marketplace post-COVID and really examine some of these applications and how they do things, how they do blended learning in-person practicums. And I think there's an opportunity to double, triple the output while lowering expenses.
Absolutely. I have seen something similar in putting training modules online. Cybersecurity company. So the sales models, how to be a salesman, the customer support modules, how to, engineering, the different departments. Obviously, we're not teaching people to code online by any stretch, but still allowing the entire company to have access to all of the learning. You're opened up to seeing that there's this salesperson that may not be doing a great job at sales, but they've sat and watched every single one of the customer service modules and they've scored really well on those tests. Why can't we look at that person and say, "Hey, what would you think about, we have an opening in customer support?" What
Yeah.
I would get, and they're elated by that. They're like, "This is an amazing opportunity for me that I wouldn't have had otherwise." And all we did was put the same training that everybody was using online so that other people could access it. And to your point, I've heard two different quotes, sayings. People will respect what you inspect, meaning because you were taking those tests and holding those people accountable to those scores, that's when they started paying attention and were like, "Oh, he's serious. We really have to do this. It's not just going to fly by the seat of our pants." And two, the saying, I don't know where I heard it first, but we can't afford to train people and then to leave them, or for them to leave,
Yeah.
any more than we can afford to not train them and for them to stay. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, that's so real. And it's so, I remember a job that I had, and I was director of training, but part of my role was also culture and onboarding. And the week that the leadership would invest in spending time with coming to those onboarding sessions, talking about what their job and what their team does, there was so much buy-in and so much ownership from all the people that came to the table at that it's a night and day difference from when leadership buys in and when leadership is just like out. It's crazy.
Yeah, my head still swings back to, we're the first ones to get cut, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
um, and everything is sales derived. So in the corporate space, if sales are down, everybody gets cut. If sales go up, except for the marketing department, if sales are down, they double the marketing spend. And then if sales are up, they go, we got to double the marketing spend.
Wait, I've never seen that before. What are you talking about? That's crazy. Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. We
insane.
just got to keep marketing
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
But other than that, in the corporate space, the learning and training is the one that seems to get knocked down a peg.
Yeah.
Now, I want to kind of switch gears because we mentioned it before we started recording, and I have a friend that does it overseas, and it's in your notes. And just talk to me about this Lego being serious play, because this is a really cool concept, and I think our listeners need to hear it.
It is. And I wish I could tell you that everybody's doing it, but they're not. There's over 15,000 facilitators of like it's called Lego Series Play as a methodology. I did not create it. I'm just part of it. 100 of those facilitators of the 15,000, 100 are in the States. The rest of them are overseas. So just for comparison's sake, Americans have a problem with understanding that we can have fun at work and be productive and be loyal and be successful at the same time. So Lego Serious Play can be used as for different reasons. What I enjoy most using it for is team building. Everybody gets the same. I'm holding up a bag of Lego bricks, and these are very specially picked out Lego bricks that only facilitators can order online. Everybody has the same set of bricks, and everybody gets the same prompts, the same questions that we ask during the facilitation. And the questions can range anything from build something that you see as aesthetically pleasing. And then everybody has time to build. And then everybody at the table will explain and describe their build and help people understand what they were thinking when they did the build. And then at the end, everybody goes around and is able to ask questions about other people's builds. And what I see that you did this is, does that ladder mean anything particular, or is it just a step, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of metaphors that are built in with Lego Series Play. And you can also use it for strategic thinking. If we have a courageous leader that wants to engage their team in solving a problem that they truly don't have an answer for, we can break out the bigger sets of Lego bricks for them to bring in bigger pieces. We have you can use it as a literal elephant in the room. I'm holding up one of the Duplo elephants. Or it can be just like a figure of speech. We have the animals. We have as many of the minifigures as you want to use, you can. And to also realize that a brick is just a brick and a brick is anything you want it to be. So if in a build, I want the green brick to be grass or environmental change, it can be that. Or in the next build, it can just be a green brick. So there's all different types of ways that you can use Lego Series Play. I will say there's some basic rules, and that is if you're in the room, you're building. So there's no CEO that just comes in and watches and observes. He's sitting at the table building alongside all the peers for the group. It takes complex ideas and it makes them tangible. So when you get into more complex builds where we have shared builds and we start linking builds with connectors, you're able to see potential impacts on the organization or potential impacts to change, barriers to success, those types of things that can pop up, and we don't really think about it until we have the physical model in front of us. And again, not everybody learns or feels comfortable contributing around the fishbowl conference room, whiteboarding all the solutions and brainstorming. There's a lot of people that just their brains don't work that way.
Yeah.
So to bring in the Lego bricks to build, it really does open up a huge area of understanding of myself and my peers and what we have to offer moving forward.
So the first thing I go to as I'm listening to you describe that process Hey, kudos to you. Like I love the idea that the CEO, the CFO, CTO, anyone that walks in the room gets a bag of bricks. Have at it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, because sometimes it's funny when they can't do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
and what it does is it puts us all on the same level playing field.
yeah,
Yes, he's
yeah,
the CEO, but he's still sitting at this table building a tower next to me. And my tower is going to look entirely different than his, but we're both right because we both have a tower.
yeah. I was wondering, as people do the work physically, is it evident to you like the four personality styles? Like when you look at like, or when you look at them work, is it like, hey, there's a Myers-Briggs exam, like in practice. There's an
Uh,
extrovert, there's an introvert, there's a
yeah, I'm not as schooled in Myers-Briggs as other coaches. It's never been one of my favorite assessments. I am a Clifton Strengths certified coach. And so I see a ranger like crazy because they'll organize all the green bricks together, the red bricks together, the blue bricks together. They'll,
yeah,
and they'll fix them like they want it. It's more of people will come in and they'll say, I've never built with Lego bricks. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, and my response to that is, you know what? Just give me a couple builds, just try to engage for the first two, and we'll kind of go from there. And by the third build, they are the loudest, most excited, energetic people in the room that are so pumped about this opportunity to use their creative prefrontal cortex. Here's a little statistic. When you engage with building while you work, you open up 80% more brain power. And that brain power is your right prefrontal cortex. And it is about creativity. And there's so many people that will say, oh, I'm not creative. I could never do marketing because I'm not a creative person. This doesn't take creativity. It just takes stopping yourself in the moment and don't overanalyze. Just build whatever comes to your hands and just put the bricks together, and we'll talk about it later. And the builds that you get are so, some can be very detailed and some can be very, I'll say plain isn't the right word, but very basic and not. And they
functional.
both have very different meanings. And what you hear and what you see from people contributing is just, it's phenomenal. And you see people in the room like, I had no idea that you thought that or that you wanted to do that. Why didn't you tell me? And I didn't have an opportunity or I didn't feel safe or whatever that looks like to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's CEOs that'll say, oh, I don't want to build. And well, you get to, because that's part of how this works is that you're along with your team and we're going to all build together and make some great models to share and reflect on.
Well, I think I have a new angle for you to sell on.
What's
You know
that?
how they always say that using your brain requires more calories, and if you're going to use 80% more brain, now you've got a weight loss program.
There's that, and yes, especially now in America, that's a win all by itself. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's
Good
a
job.
GL, it's the natural GLP-1.
Exactly. Thank you.
So I see that you do strength-based development, and you just mentioned it verbally as well. Is that that's all based on the Strengths Finders kind of
Mhm.
thing?
Yeah, the Clifton Strengths. Yes, sir.
I I have worked with some CEOs or general managers that have fallen in love with that whole line of thinking.
It is amazing. And I'll tell you, I first did it at a cybersecurity company that I was working for, and I had never heard of it before. But on each of the name placards, it had the person's name, so Jolynn, and then it would list what their top 5 strengths were. And talk about understanding people. And as I say that, I'm like, well, that was kind of labeling. And it's not, it's just bringing awareness to what are my top 5. And that also speaks to how our brain works. None of my top 5 are in the strategic domain. There's 4 different domains. Strategic is one, relationship building, executing, and influencing. However, my relationship and my influencing are my top, I mean, off the charts. Most of mine fall in those 2. Meaning that all you strategy people, you guys get in a room, think about your ideas, let me know what you decide we're going to execute. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it. And I'm going to tell all the people I know about it. And I'm going to tell them to tell their friends about it. And we're going to get all this backing behind us and we're going to do these great things. And everybody works differently. And if we're put in a place where we can work to our strengths instead of against them, we're able to feel more valid at work and we're able to feel more yeah, not important, but just feel like we fit better. The same company I was their director of training and HR had said, we need your plan for the next fiscal year. And again, I'm not strategic, but my instructional designer was. And so I asked him, hey, how did you feel about that? He was like, oh my God, that'd be so amazing. I'd love to do it. I was like, great, do it. Like, let's talk about it in a couple of days. Is that fair? Yeah, that's great. So we brought it back. We talked about it, made a few modifications, but submitted it to HR. I mean, hello, problem solved because I didn't have to do it.
Yep.
It would have taken me probably a whole physical workday to do that. And two, he was so excited by the opportunity to do it. I just bought in more to his value in the company, and it was a great fit. Like, yes, it's my job description, but I don't work that way. So why can't I use people that do work that way to accomplish the goal that's necessary?
And it
Just makes sense.
defies everything that is human to me. But
Mm.
when I worked at Suzuki, there was a young lady there that worked there. She loved doing spreadsheets like it was some kind of like her own personal Sudoku or something. And I was kind of frustrated as the learning manager. They wanted
Yeah.
me to like manually create these stupid reports in their format, which were like CSV executionable through this, bespoke LMS that I hated.
Sure.
And but they're like, no, we don't like that format. You got to reformat it. And it's got to, I'm like, this is stupid. And so I'm angry, right? Because it's something I don't want to do. And we used to go on these like company walks twice a day, right? And on one of the company walks, I was voicing my opinion about the report.
Yeah.
And this girl stops and she goes, oh, just send me the file. I could whoop that up for you in no time. I love spreadsheets. And I was like, what? And she actually liked doing it, which I thought was inhumane. I thought it was
Yeah.
crazy, but she was all into it. And
Yeah.
that kind of falls into, um, I know you said you're not like really into personalities per se,
Yeah.
but there was this guy, God, I can't remember his name it's like Mike Allen or something, but I know that's not the right name. He does core value index,
Ah,
and
okay.
it's another evaluation, right?
Yeah.
Like Myers-Briggs or Myers-Briggs, whatever. But it's this evaluation. And what I liked about it was the core value index tells you how you're internally wired. And so it's not telling you you're crazy or you have daddy issues or, you're separated from your mom at birth, or it's none of these weird, like
Mhm.
crystals and pyramids things. It's like
Yeah.
on the job, this is you. And you used the term, I think, ranger before, right?
Arranger. Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so they have terms that are similar, like, "Oh, you're a builder, you're
Yes.
a dreamer, you're a this,"
Mhm.
and so that core value index for me is a really good tool, like, especially as a hiring practice. If I'm responsible to onboard a team of people, I want them all to take that core value index and to get the results and go, "Okay, these are my customer service people, these are my
Yeah.
production people, these are my field representatives,"
Yeah.
and it and you can really build a great team if you know what they're made of.
Yeah. So the day that you gave the spreadsheet to this young lady, you were probably relieved that you didn't have to
Oh,
stress over it anymore. And you made her day. Like she was beside herself, like, I'll do it. Like, give it to me.
yeah.
I'll do it for like asking for more work. Like, when does that happen at corporate? Like, never, ever. Like, why would we want to do that? But to be given the opportunity to work within our strengths or core that whatever that looks like, I think just really speaks to, and again, I'm not offloading work that I don't want to do or I can't do. It's just giving work to those that thrive in that space. And I'll bring it kind of down to a really basic level. My family knows that when it's time to go on a trip, I'm packing the car. You can bring your stuff to the back of the car and just leave it. And I'm going to put it in the car in a way that it's accessible when we need it, organized, using all the space as it's like Tetris, but that's how my brain works. And that's what I like. And that's just fuels me. If somebody else were to try to pack the car, I would like just I couldn't watch and I'd be so irritated the whole time because we didn't maximize the space like we needed to, which maybe I have something I don't know, I have issues, of course, but I'm
What do you mean
using
the
my
snacks are
strengths.
under the duffel bags?
Right? Exactly. Why did you put the snacks at the feet of the kids? That makes no sense. Yeah. But and to flip it, my husband's really great at all the financial stuff, all of our financial planning, all of our budgeting and spending. He's got spreadsheets that have like formulas that resort to other spread. I'm like, just tell me how much money I can spend at the grocery store. And we each have our strengths and we each bring something different to the table. It's, I heard this a long time ago where a lot of times we'll say, what's wrong with you? And that can be at work when somebody does something different, or in life when someone does something that's what's wrong with you? And it's not always when we stop and say, what happened to you? Kind of to tap in a little bit, issues growing up or whatever, all of us come to the table with a completely different set of past history, life experiences, whether that's we used to travel to Italy on a regular basis, or whether that's we grew up in Germany, and then my parents migrated to whatever that looks like. Even if I just was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, like what I bring to the table is so different and unique from you and you and you and you that I what I do isn't wrong necessarily, it's just different. And the more we can sit back and recognize those differences and try to understand them better than just judging them, I think the better we'll be as humans, as educators, as facilitators. Everybody has a space to the table. Just what are you bringing to the table that's different from what other people bring?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you sideways with a question we didn't discuss. We don't discuss the questions ahead of time, folks. So I might
Mhm.
catch Jolynn off guard here. Um, Almost every show that I'm in, because I'm on a lot of podcasts, someone brings up AI or someone brings up
Yeah.
automation or someone brings up something, and while half of the world is dreading the conversation, you just went on about individualism and being unique and having separate strengths and
Yeah.
amplifying productivity through using people's strengths, right?
Yeah.
Where does AI fit in your space? Does it fit at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to be honest, from my standpoint, I'd be stupid to not embrace it. Like we have to, it's a tool. It doesn't replace me. I'm able to put in AI, here's some information, here's files that may contribute to your output. Please review the files. And I want a LinkedIn post that says this, this, and this, or I want to apply for this job, help me redo my resume to fit what they're looking for versus what I can contribute. Now, where you mess up is where you just take their stuff and go, there being AI. Take the from output from AI and just applying it. You still have to review it. You still have to check it and ask it to redo this or redo that. And you have to coach AI just like I would an assistant. If I had an assistant
Yeah.
working for me, I'd have to coach them too. One of the funniest things when I first got started with AI was I put in a prompt that says, please generate an image of the corporate trust fall. And the trust fall in this image was the people kind of in a semicircle, and the person was falling forward away from them, which I thought that, okay, that's sadly, maybe that does happen in a lot of corporate. And so I wish that I had kept the actual prompts, but I said, please redo the picture where the center person that's participating is falling back into the crowd of people. And again, AI spit it out with the person falling forward, only this time everybody in the semicircle behind him was cheering instead of trying to catch that person. So I thought, see, some things aren't going to work in AI, but there are so many things that are, that if I learn how to harness it and if I learn how to engage and use AI for my benefit, then it's going to be a total win and it will allow me to accomplish more moving forward. I use it for AI LinkedIn posts every once in a while. There's still times that I'll type up a post and I'll say, make this sound more professional and fun, and
Yeah.
whatever spits out is great. But I think that the more people push back on it, that's where you're going to see job loss or reduction in workforces. When people can embrace it and use it to their benefit, I think we'll be able to grow. That's also kind of scary because that there's things out there nowadays that are completely generated from AI, and it's hard to tell the difference. So I believe in a very ethical and transparent use of AI for my work and when I work with others. It's not going to replace us. We're still human and we're still needed to do the face-to-face jobs, the customer support, the customer success. I get infuriated when I get on a phone call and it's, tell me what you want. I'm like, speak to an associate. I can help you. Tell me what you want. I'm like, speak to I know, thank you, but I know that you can't actually fill a prescription because it's whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we still are needed in the picture. It's just a matter of, can I make myself better by using AI? Absolutely.
So when you talked about like giving it input, then requesting a certain output, I
Mhm.
picture like Notebook LM is probably one of your go-to tools.
Yeah, it's just And I use Claude a lot because Claude's more personable. But just job applications when I'm working with people, throw your resume, throw the job description, and see what it puts out. It can help you with a cover letter. It can help you, revamp your resume, kind of clean it up and I'm not changing who you are or what you did. I'm changing how it's worded in the resume to
Yeah, that's a good
reflect
point.
what those people are looking for. And there's not a lot of changes. I'm still, work history is work history. There's nothing you can do about that. But, and it doesn't, it's, I'm not asking it to put things in that aren't true. So I'm still going back and verifying, wait, they changed the date here. I need to fix that or that, whatever. But I think creating learning solutions for adaptive learning as we move forward, I think it's probably going to be a lot easier in AI, where I can have the idea of what I want it to accomplish, and it can help me with some of the metrics, some of the um, uh, success rates, and how we go different strategic pieces that my brain doesn't necessarily think of.
Well, I can give you one very actionable thing that my brain stumbles with, and that's
Please.
I'm not good at like headings and lesson names, right? Like I
Yeah.
can write the long form content and I know what to teach. Like I'm a subject matter expert, I know my stuff. But then when I try to think of like the hook for the lesson name, like to get them in with,
Yeah.
I'll write something and they're like placeholders. So I got a bunch of placeholders. And then when I look at the list of lessons, I go, well, that's not very exciting at all. Like if I was a student, would I want to take this course? If that was the syllabus I was looking at to figure out if I
Hmm.
was going to swipe my credit card or not, would I
Yeah.
want to take that? And the answer is no. And then I go to AI and I go take a look at the list of these lesson names based on the subject matter. How would you change them? Boom, all of a sudden we've got keywords coming out the
Right.
kazoo, right? And everything
Right.
just
Yeah.
lines up.
And it
But
doesn't change the material of what you wrote.
no,
It just is adding in a piece that you are not as comfortable with as the other. And it's a good combination. Like I see AI being just another tool that I work with, or a peer, if you will, someone that's within the organization that's helping us create this material. That's my partner. Uh, you got to use it to your benefit. And you can tell AI what language and what verbiage and
yep.
what feeling you want to get from the messaging and go from there. Like my husband will put in like, I have these ingredients. What can I make for dinner?
Yeah,
And
that's a good one.
there's a part of me that's like, okay, but AI is great, but you should still like try to think some things on your own. Like it's okay to still try to use your own brain. And so I challenge a little bit with I have 5 children, ages 13 to 19, and I challenge my concern with them is that everything's going to be put in AI, that they're going to lose that critical thinking skills, the critical thinking, processing because, well, I can just put it in AI and it'll spit out whatever I need. Well, yes, and you need to help coach it to find that answer that you're really looking for.
Yeah, that classic example that people our age have is you probably remember your parents' phone number or the phone number you grew up with, but you
Yep.
said you have a gaggle of kids, and if they all have mobile phones, I bet you don't know all their phone numbers.
Not one. Nope.
They're a button on the phone, but
Yeah, exactly.
you don't know
Exactly.
the phone number. And
Yeah.
so that's like the dumbing down. Like I used to be a walking Rolodex just full of names and numbers.
Mhm.
And now I don't need to know that stuff, so I don't care anymore, right?
But do you still have those numbers stored in there because they were there for so long?
The ones from when I was like in high school, I do.
Yeah. So we had the same phone number from age 5 till she disconnected the landline finally. But I remember our church phone number, her work number, her friends. Like I would remember so many phone numbers because you, yeah. And remember when we were growing up, we were told, well, you're going to have to learn this because you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. I kind of do.
Yeah.
And I still know algebra. So like it's these changes in what's being given to us and how we adapt to use those tools to the best of our abilities. And yeah. So what about you? Are you on board with the whole AI thing? It sounds like you are.
Yeah, I use it almost
Oh,
every day, and I have to review a lot of different tools for other shows that I'm a part of.
yeah.
So I get sometimes I get a glimpse at these tools before they're even open to the public because we'll have talked to the founder, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm not thrilled with the use of a lot of them. I'm thrilled with
Okay.
the tools, but not the use. Like from an agency perspective, we make websites for other companies, And someone will say, well, how much to make us a custom plugin that does X, Y, and Z? And I go, that's, $15,000 or whatever.
Mhm.
And then they go, have you ever heard of Chat GPT? I'll just ask Chat GPT. And I go, well, great. And
Do
then they
that.
come back, 2 or 3 weeks later and they go, well, I had this 9-hour conversation with Chat GPT and it gave me this file. All you have to do is put it in our website. And I go, nah, that's not how that works.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm
That's,
not
that,
taking responsibility for
that's,
AI.
that's not how that works. If you
Yeah.
want to, if you want to migrate the website, put it somewhere else and be responsible for your own disaster, you can do that. Or you can use, I actually had to create an AI auditing service for our agency
Yeah.
where if clients come to us in that position, I say, well, let's take a look at the size of the file. We're going to have our tech team go through it and look for bugs. We had one that got mad at us when we said that, and they went and hired another agency to basically do what I had offered to do. And that agency got on X and said, we just reviewed a plugin for a client and it had 100 security issues with it. People don't recognize that the AI is still currently running at like a 23% error or hallucination rate. And when it hallucinates, it's pulling that data from somewhere. And when it's talking about code, where does it get like available code from? A lot of times it gets them from a malware site. And so it's giving people unknowingly, it's giving them security patches or security issues. And so we're very standoffish about the idea of AI in that use case.
Yeah.
But if I have a tech team that knows how to code and they're using AI to quicken the pace by 50% and still come out with killer code, well,
Mhm.
now I'm all in.
Right.
And so it sounds like I'm being a little exclusionary or I'm being a little bit of an elitist, but it's just because I have a stack of wood in the backyard and I got some woodworking tools doesn't mean I'm going to build an awesome spiral staircase. Right. Whereas a craftsman might come over and go,
Yeah.
wow, this is some really nice walnut. We could build a nice spiral staircase with this. Right. But it's same tools, same supplies, but the
Yeah.
output's going to be completely different because of the
Absolutely.
level of skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'll see people recognizing that and still paying for the expertise to make it the right way versus the fast and easy way of AI. I get it.
Yeah. We did a thing when I was at Ducati, we had a thing called Panigale Labs. And when we launched the program, everybody thought we were crazy. And then the benefits were so unbelievable. I can't believe they still don't do it as a company. Panigale Labs was you would give a dealership a Panigale engine, so an engine on a stand. And
Mhm.
then you would have some technical staff come in and you would schedule an event, right? Like, hey, next Saturday, we're going to take an engine apart in our showroom.
Yeah.
And so we would have tech staff come in, rip the engine apart, pass the pieces around to everybody that came. They go, oh, wow, pistons, cranks. Like,
Right.
people that are into that as a sport, like you hand them a piston or a crank, they're like, this is amazing.
It's like
Um,
Legos for me.
yeah. And then we would literally just like slap the whole thing back together and then spin
Yeah.
the engine around and show how everything worked. Everyone said, you can't do that. You can't show people the secret sauce in public like that because it'll devalue what we pay technicians to do. Like if we can take an engine apart, disassemble it, reassemble it all in an afternoon at a dealership, why would a customer pay $6,000, $7,000, $9,000 to have an engine redone? And it's like, well, it's two completely different things. For one, like this is a training motor that doesn't have to go in a frame and run and
Yeah.
perform. It's like a puzzle, right? It's like a puzzle rather than a finished piece.
Mhm.
But what we found was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
People went, they saw everything come apart and they went, oh, that's amazing. And then they said, I would never want to do that on my own. I would have a professional do it, bar none.
Absolutely.
And sales went through the roof.
Yep. Because not only do they see that you value training and they see that you're spending the time and energy on training your teams, but because of that, they know that it goes a little bit beyond just that there's so much more that you do. They're not just paying for the repair, the rebuild, they're paying for the expertise of that technician and the team's efforts and time and tenure building their knowledge bases up here. That's incredible. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a wonderful experiment for me.
Yeah.
And so when I run my agency, I do a similar thing. Periodically, I do a live and I invite anyone from the world to
Yeah.
come and I'll be like, hey, come see how this new shopping cart works. Come and see how this new LMS works. Come and see how
Yeah.
this, and I run through and I show a couple of things and this is what it does. And this is how you set it up. And this is how you use it. And people go, "You're telling everybody the secret sauce." I go, "No, I'm showing them that I'm an expert. And
Yeah.
if they want this done, they should probably hire me because I know what I'm doing."
Right. Anybody can grab Legos and bring them to work and try to solve problems. Anybody can. But I'm hoping that they'll hire me to help facilitate through the process to understand what the builds mean and what asking the right questions to kind of to get the backstory. But yes, I agree with you. It's this the history and the expertise and the time that you've taken to learn and to teach the others
Yeah.
that very specific knowledge. Absolutely.
Well, I think you did a really good job of rounding that out, Jolynn. Here's what I want to do. A, I want to thank you for your time because
Thank you.
you don't have to do these shows, but you chose to do this one. So I'm glad
I
you're
love
here.
it. Thank you.
Um, the other thing is the name of your website is elevateyourtalent.co.
Yes, sir.
And you had
See you.
just kind of started the segue a little bit there. Talk about how do people find you? How do they get to use you? And what's a good use case to use you?
Yes. So elevateyourtalent.co is my company name and website. You can find me on LinkedIn at Jolynn Ledgerwood. Kurt and I may not be connected now, but we will right after
We will
today.
be.
So yeah, absolutely. And I enjoy coaching teams to be better, to understand themselves better, to operate better as a cohesive team, to reduce the silos, and whether that's strength-based coaching or Lego series play or another methodology that you may be interested in, just reach out and let me know, and I'd love to help you guys out. I I thrive on helping other people be their best. That's my number one maximizer coming out. And I enjoy networking with people. So I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.
That is fantastic, folks. This has been Jolynn Ledgerwood. If you would, give her a follow, give her a share, give her a like wherever you see her. She's also got a podcast out there. She probably didn't want to compete with us, but I'll put the podcast in the show notes for you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for coming to the Manana No Mas podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and follow, and all those fun things too. See ya.